Okay, so this is a response to how do you need to think differently about such things as story length, story structure, shot size, camera movement, sound when shooting for mobile as opposed to a larger screen, theatre, TV, or even a computer monitor. Okay, so I think that for starting with story length, if you're shooting on a mobile device and it's going to be for a smaller screen, it needs to be a lot shorter. It can't be a feature-length movie. Watching something so small, you miss out on so much detail. And the story structure needs to be a lot less complicated when shooting for something small. I work at Sky TV, and when we create the highlight packages for the sports games, there is a half-an-hour highlights package, but then we also cut that down to a 12-minute highlight package that's used for mobile devices, because someone doesn't want to watch something so small on their phone or iPod for such a long length of time. The shot sizes, I think, need to be a lot more simple, and camera movement definitely needs to be a lot more static. Laurent showed us some shots, or like some techniques on how to hold your camera and how you use your hip as a base and you pivot just to get a lot more steady, because when you walk around like this, like the movement of the body creates a movement in the camera. That could be an effect that you're going for though, because if you want, but even if it is, you definitely need to make sure that you steady the movement, because if it's jerky and makes the viewer uncomfortable. I find that placing the camera down on something, using it to balance, is will make it a lot more easy, because the movement will be so static. When I film something up in an airplane, I leant it on the side of the window so that I wasn't me holding it like this. It was actually static and still. That's something that definitely is something that's very different compared to a normal camera. When you use it, you've got your tripod, it's quite big, quite heavy, and even Steadicam stuff, you have a whole rig that you use to make sure that the movements are nice and fluid, compared to when you just hold your phone and you walk up and down. I find that sound is also an issue, because the microphone on these devices is so small. Unless the sound is really crystal clear, it can become quite distorted. That's also another thing with the quality of the camera. You need to think about light source. The footage becomes quite grainy when there's not enough light. I think that's a huge issue with the quality of the stuff that you want to put out compared to a proper camera that you use, which they've got different like filters and the ISO and the iris size. Whereas as advanced as these devices are, they're not cameras. They are different things. They're phones, they're computers as well, and so a camera isn't its primary source. I find that you do need to think differently, very differently compared to when you're making like even a short film. These devices are a lot more spontaneous for when you want to shoot something, and a lot less professional than if you wanted to use a proper camera or a proper device. They do have their benefits, being so small and concealable, and you can actually get into places a lot more secretively. Like if you are filming, like when Laurent came in and showed us how to discreetly film somebody, just put your headphones in and it looks like you're changing the song. That's one way that you can tell a story secretly through a device and not actually have the people know, because people do react differently when they see a big camera.